Welcome back to the Nebraska Furniture Mart Locker Room Show, where I'm joined now by Breland and Jared for tonight's Roundtable. All right, guys, the college football season is marching along with fall camp in full swing for all three local teams, and we've heard from coaches and players the past couple weeks. But what are your early impressions of Mizzou, Kansas, and/or Kansas State? Jared?
One, Eli Drinkwitz. I don't know what he's going to accomplish on the field, and Lord knows he's got a tough schedule in year one. But let's just call a spade what a spade is. He's one of the best press conference coaches I've ever seen, I've ever covered. I mean, and it's not like, yes, he's got a lot of jokes, a lot of funny things, but the way he's able to weave in and out of serious answers where he's actually answering the question, because we all know there's a lot of coaches that you give them a softball question and they really say nothing. But he'll actually say something, give us some reasoning why, explain his decision-making on like why he's not giving players jersey numbers, why he's not announcing a starting quarterback ahead of time, and it makes sense. And then also the fact that he's not afraid of the fact that, hey, Mizzou, not one of the best teams in the SEC and kind of got screwed by the conference talking about their schedule. And he's like, yeah, I would have liked to know the decision-making process, but listen, it's sour grapes, and at the end of the day, let's play. We weren't going to get a bad team, and I just love that mindset that he knows that he's really climbing an uphill battle this year. First year and really a lot of question marks. Yes, they've got good running backs and wide receivers and a couple NFL prospects on defense, but when there are 4 quarterback options and you can make a case for any of them, that's a big question mark. So the fact that he's still confident and believes in his team through all of this, I think, is really impressive. And I just want to hit on Skylar Thompson over at Kansas State because if I'm going to give love to Drinkwitz for his press conference, Skylar Thompson's press conference, right the day that the Big Ten was falling apart, the fact that he was able to go out and answer questions so confidently and say that, you know what, yeah, my guys are struggling, talk about the challenges that he's facing, the mental aspect of it. I was blown away and happy to see a Kansas City kid, Fort Osage guy, and I think Wildcat fans should just be so proud that he is their leader both in the locker room and on the field. Again, who knows how they're going to compete in the Big 12, but I think for both Mizzou, Kansas, and Kansas State, that really they've got the pieces in place that these fans can be proud of their teams.
For sure. What do you think of one of these teams, Breland, or anybody stick out in particular?
Well, I actually think Kansas State is in the best position here, right? Yeah. Because everybody else, everyone across the board is going to get some level of a short end of a stick, right? Because it's just the nature of the beast this year. But Kansas State is returning their quarterback, as Jared mentioned, and Skylar, and they still have a ton of offensive and defensive pieces that are returning, and they have some sort of consistency here that we're not seeing with the other two teams. KU still in that rebuilding phase. Les Miles, of course, going to build on what he did last year, but they still, you can expect them to have a rebuilding year because they basically started from scratch. They weren't winning at all, you know, in previous years. So they still got a lot of work to do. And Mizzou, poor Mizzou. I feel terrible for Eli Drinkwitz, right? No experience at the Power 5 level, coming in here, taking on this beast of an SEC team, and then he's just getting bad break left and right here. No spring, no ability to really put any of his system in place over a gradual period of time. So now he's got this teeny tiny short window here to implement all of these ideas, which are great ideas, you know, but is he going to have the time to be able to execute that? On top of it, he also has to find a starting quarterback. And then there's just, you know, a little thing going on with the schedule where he has Alabama and LSU coming in. So it's just a rough break up there. So I feel for the guy, but luckily, you know, hopefully everybody at Mizzou kind of has a little bit of grace and understands that this year is just going to be climbing Mount Everest for him and his staff. And he seems like he's got the right ideas. It's just unfortunately terrible, terrible timing for him.
Yeah, the SEC did Mizzou no favors, and they also did a lot of those first-year coaches coming into the SEC no favors. They want to build up Alabama and LSU, and in this weird COVID-ridden world that we're living in, they want those teams to be at the top of their conference so that they are shoo-ins for the national championship or the college playoffs or however they're going to do that this year with a couple of the Power 5 conferences opting out. But I go back to Jared's points, and I agree with him completely in that I think we learned a lot about the backbones of each of these three teams based on how they have reacted to all of the craziness that has ensued and their lack of preparation and fall camps leading up to their schedules, not knowing whether they're going to play or not even, and that can take such a toll on both athletes and coaches, because you're going to have multiple different plans, schedules. How are you going to ease guys into this? We've talked about it at the NFL level, and how you have to have an acclimation period. These college kids are dealing with a lot of that without the benefits of being a professional football player. And I loved what Skylar Thompson had to say, and how he's dealt with it, and the fact that he was more than willing to say, hey, yeah, I am a leader of this team, and it's been really tough for us, because I have to tell these freshmen, these younger players, that I don't know what's going on. And none of us know what's going on, but you have to buy into this team and believe that we're going to be able to be successful whenever games do come around. And you have to prepare like there are going to be games. And look, we're college athletes. We're not superheroes. We don't have capes on our backs. And I thought that was so mature of him to recognize that this is just as much mental as it is physical going into this really strange year. And now with all of the changes that they're making on top of it, just being able to take that on head first and be a leader when he's so young. And then I go back to Eli Drinkwitz as well, understanding what the SEC is doing to them and being like, yeah, I don't accept it. You guys are trying to get us in trouble by asking these questions, and it's fine, but we are going to go out there and we're going to play to the best of our abilities and still try to win. That's going to be the goal. Mizzou has a really great opportunity ahead of them to upset a guy, or to upset a team like Alabama, or upset a team like LSU. Is it an uphill battle? Yeah, absolutely. But how great would that be for Eli Drinkwitz in his first season to have the opportunity to take down a powerhouse like that? I think that makes the season a little bit more fun and a little more interesting for the Tigers.